the Galarian Stunfisk. Now you'll see how much of a wall Torterra is to Galarian Stunfisk, right? Torterra is probably one of the most underrated and yet probably the hardest counter to a Galarian Stunfisk. It's almost doing no damage right now, and I'm able to get to an Earthquake here. And obviously Bastiodon is double weak to ground because of the Rock Steel typing, and this is pretty much going to one-shot. See the hardest counter for this team, which is Tropius. Now Tropius is absolutely terrible because it triple resists ground type moves because of the grass flying typing. And as soon as possible take out the Alolan Marowak, and let's see what they have in the back. They have a Galarian Stunfisk in the back, and this is pretty much GG's. What's up everybody? Welcome back. So hope season 7 is going well for you. I'm certainly having a lot of fun. And in this video, I'm going to be bringing back the triple same type challenge series which I was doing in season 6. And in this video, I'm going to be trying out a triple ground team in the Great League. Now, honestly, when it comes to these triple same type teams, sometimes it can come across as a meme team. But honestly, this team is as strong as it can get because even though all three of these Pokemon are ground types, they're very different in terms of their subtyping, which allows varied coverage and protection against majority of the meta, right? This team is going to struggle a little bit against grass types, but it's definitely not unbeatable. But like I said, this team honestly worked really well for me. So let's just get straight into these battles here. So moving on to the first battle, I'm going to be leading with my Shadow Swampert with Galarian Stunfisk and Torterra in the back. So we have Swampert into a Galarian Stunfisk here. Very positive lead right off the bat. Honestly, Galarian Stunfisk doesn't have too much play against this entire team. So they make a switch into their Altaria. This is perfect. We have the perfect hard counters here. I'm going to come in with my Galarian Stunfisk. And this is such a positive matchup, obviously, because everything Altaria has is resisted by Stunfisk because of that steel typing. And yeah, they go for Dragon Pulse, which is fine. Doesn't really do that much damage. And I'm just going to build up to 2 Rock Slides here and go for the first one. Now, because Rock Slide has been nerfed, 2 Rock Slides are not going to take out a full health Altaria. Rock Slide does quite a bit of super effective damage there, and I'm going to actually build up a lot of extra energy and throw just before they can get to a charge move. Unfortunately, they're able to get to a Sky Attack first. Ends up being a CMP tie, which is not great. Sky Attack does come through, it is resisted, and yeah, because of the CMP tie, the charge move is going to go through. And Rock Slide, yeah, I'm just going to go for it here, and fortunately actually doesn't KO. It puts this Altaria into much short farm down range. This is really good because we have an Earthquake ready to go. Azumarill does come in. This is going to go straight for the Earthquake here. It's going to do massive neutral damage and do about 40% of Azumarill's health as it does there. And this is fantastic, right? Because at this point I can line up my Torterra against their Azumarill and Swampert against their Stunfisk here. So these Razor Leaves are doing so much damage. I'm definitely going to have to shield because Ice Beam would one-shot Torterra because Torterra is double weak to ice because of the grass ground typing. And they make a switch at their Galarian Stunfisk. Now you'll see how much of a wall Torterra is to Galarian Stunfisk, right? Torterra is probably one of the most underrated and yet probably the hardest counter to a Galarian Stunfisk because everything Stunfisk has is resisted by Torterra because of the grass ground typing, right? Rock Slide is resisted because of the ground typing, while Earthquake is resisted because of the grass typing. And these Razor Leaves are doing so much damage right now, obviously because of their lower defense from Sand Tomb as well. And I don't have to shield this. It's just going to be a Rock Slide. It's not going to KO. And we do survive that. So now at this point, I'm just going to switch into my Swampert here, then overfarm a little bit, and then throw the Hydro Cannon just before they can get to a charge move. Let's see if this gets the shield from the Galarian Stunfisk. And it does get the shield, which is fine. And let's see what they decide to do here. They actually make a switch into their Azumarill. I'm just going to go for the Hydro Cannon here. Even though this is resisted, it's still going to do enough damage to put this Azumarill into much short farm down range, right? We still have a shield, so I'm not worried about any charge move coming from the Azumarill. I'm just going to try and completely much shot down here. They're not even able to get to a charge move, which is fantastic. And I'm just going to go straight for the Hydro Cannon and take out the Galarian Stunfisk from this range there. So it was a pretty straightforward win towards the end there. I mean, we still won with a shield, and we had a little bit of health on Torterra in the back. And yeah, I mean, I guess we had the perfect hard counters in the situation. I mean, Torterra is a pretty decent response to an Azumarill, but it's definitely not great when shields are down because Azumarill has the potential to one-shot Torterra, right? I mean, if they're running Play Rough and Hydro Pump, that's probably more favorable, but I mean, most Azumarills are running Ice Beam, so that's not a great situation to be in. So, moving into the second battle here, we have Swampert into a Scrafty. It's a pretty positive lead, this because I definitely don't want my Galarian Stunfisk to go up against the Scrafty, and I think Swampert wins the Zero Shield, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I mean, if they go straight Power Up Punch, that is, I mean, they're just going to go straight Power Up Punch, which is great. I'm just going to actually build up two Hydro Cannons here and then go back to back. So one of these two should get the shield. So let's see what they decide to do here. They do shield the first one, which is fine. Immediately going to go for the next one right now. They're probably very close to a Power Up Punch right there. So let's see how much this Hydro Cannon does. And they let that go through. It does massive neutral damage and ends up being a CMP tie, which is even better. So I'm going to let this go through. Power Up Punch would probably almost KO from this range as it does there. And I'm going to obviously come in with my Torterra. Don't want to come in with my Stunfisk because again, we're only taking neutral damage with Torterra, and obviously Razor Leaf is going to be able to farm down. And they have a Bastiodon in the back. Now Bastiodon is not a counter to a Torterra. This tells me that whatever is in the back could be weak to Torterra, so they probably have something like a Azumarill in the back. So I'm just going to go for the Sand Tomb to try and lower its defense. And they do shield that, which is fantastic because at this point I'm just going to switch in my Galarian Stunfisk here. And then they're going to throw a Charge Bomb. I'm going to shield this up. Now, even though Flamethrower isn't going to do that much damage, I want to preserve the health on Stunfisk a little bit more. And let's see what they have in the back. They make a switch in their Azumarill. This is fine. We have an energy advantage and also shield advantage. And in this situation, Galarian Stunfisk should be able to beat Azumarill, right? So I'm just going to go for the Earthquake here. It does massive neutral damage to this Azumarill. Yeah, it's going to take more than 2 Earthquakes actually to get rid of Azumarill. So I'm going to shield this up. Probably just going to be an Ice Beam, but yeah, I want to preserve the health on my Stunfisk a little bit more to basically get rid of the Bastiodon as well. So I'm going to overfarm a little bit and then throw the Earthquake here, and I'm hoping this Earthquake KOs the Azumarill from this range. But unfortunately, they survive with like 1 HP and they're able to get to a Charge Move as well. So this is not great at all. It's just going to be an Ice Beam, but that's still going to do quite a bit of neutral damage. But the good thing about this is that because Bastiodon, I mean, Smackdowns are double resisted, right? Because of the Steel Ground typing. It's almost doing no damage right now, and I'm able to get to an Earthquake here. And obviously, Bastiodon is double weak to ground because of the Rock Steel typing, and this is pretty much going to one-shot it here. So, I mean, once again, I think even though we didn't have the perfect hard counters lined up there, even though we lost switch advantage there, we pretty much had that for the most part because, I mean, Bastiodon honestly doesn't have too much play against this team either. All 3 of these Pokemon do pretty well against it. Obviously, Swampert completely walls it, while Torterra and G-Fisk also have a pretty decent matchup against it, right? But moving into the third battle, you'll probably see the hardest counter for this team, which is Tropius. Now, Tropius is absolutely terrible because it triple resists ground-type moves because of the grass-flying typing. And I'm switching into my Torterra, even though Torterra has a terrible matchup against Tropius. I mean, I can't switch to my Stunfisk because Stunfisk is my only answer to a Tropius right now. I'm trying to get to a Sand Tomb. We're not even able to get it off. That's very, very bad. So I'm going to have to wait out the switch clock here and then obviously come in with my Galarian Stunfisk. Galarian Stunfisk has a decent matchup against an Air Slash Tropius, so it's not terrible. They make a switch in their Defense Deoxys. Now, Defense Deoxys, I mean, G-Fisk has a pretty positive matchup against Defense Deoxys because all of Defense Deoxys' charge moves are resisted or double resisted. So I'm just going to go for the Earthquake here, but those counters are doing super effective damage, right? But unfortunately, my switch timer is not back up here. I definitely want to switch out as soon as possible because I want to preserve the G-Fisk for the Tropius. So I'm going to switch in my Swampert to catch the charge move, hoping it's a Rock Slide or a Thunderbolt, but ends up being a Psycho Boost there. So that's the only move that Defense Deoxys has, which does neutral damage to Swampert, whereas both Rock Slide and Thunderbolt will be resisted. Unfortunately, they have so much energy right now, they're going to go for another Psycho Boost. Does quite a bit of damage there. I'm not shielding because I'm saving both shields for my Galarian Stunfisk here, especially to go up against the Tropius. So I'm going to let this one go through as well. Psycho Boost is pretty much going to KO the Swampert from that range. And then I'm going to come in and throw the Rock Slide as soon as possible, but they make a switch into their own Galarian Stunfisk. So I'm hoping they shield this, thinking it's an Earthquake. Let's see what they decide to do here. They do shield that, which is fantastic. And at this point, I'm just going to go straight for my Earthquake here. I'm really hoping they let this one go through because I'm hoping they think it's a Rock Slide or something. But unfortunately, they shield that. So that's pretty much GG's at this point. I definitely needed that to go through. And yeah, I mean, there's not a lot I can do right now. I'm going to have to shield this. We still have 2 shields, but the health on my Stunfisk is far too low. And obviously, Tropius has quite a bit of health. And also, they have a little bit of health on Defense Deoxys as well. So I'm going to shield this up. And then I should be able to get to an Earthquake here. I'm expecting them to switch into their Tropius to catch an Earthquake. But I mean, I have no choice, but I'm going to have to throw it. They are still staying in, which is fine. And yeah, I'm hoping this Earthquake at least KOs the G-Fisk, but it probably won't. It doesn't quite take it out and we go down there. So Tropius, like I said, is almost impossible to overcome. Even other grass types can be difficult, but Tropius, because of that flying sub-typing, makes it very, very hard, right? I mean, it double resists grass type moves, it triple resists ground type moves. I mean, it single resists water type moves. It's almost, it's a nightmare to go up against. So anyways, moving into the 4th battle here, we have Swampert into an Alolan Marowak. Fantastic lead this. Definitely want to catch fire types in the lead as much as possible. I mean, the backline can handle fire types because, I mean, G-Fisk has a decent matchup against it, but obviously Swampert has such a positive matchup against it. I'm just going to go for the Hydro Cannon here. It does give the shield. They are still staying in, which is very surprising. So I'm going to go for another Hydro Cannon here. I was expecting them to switch on the charge move, but they are, I mean, this is probably almost for sure going to get the second shield as well, as it does there. And yeah, I'm definitely going to shield because Shadow Bone will do quite a bit of neutral damage in this matchup. And obviously Shadow Swampert is pretty glassy, so I want to preserve the health on it a little bit more. And then I'm just going to build up to another Hydro Cannon here. And then unfortunately they get to another Shadow Bone first, so that's bad. I'm going to shield this, but it's a good thing that I didn't throw right away. I mean, wouldn't have been a CMP tie anyway because Swampert obviously wins CMP against Marowak. I overfarmed there. I was expecting to switch. They make a switch to the Azumarill. This is where it gets a little problematic for Torterra, right? Because you can't switch a Torterra into an Azumarill when the shields are down because Ice Beam is pretty much going to one-shot it there. So definitely not a great play on my part, but again, Swampert is still going to be able to come back here. So yeah, we have loaded energy on Swampert, so I'm going to come back with my Swampert, overfarm a little bit and throw the Sludge Wave here. This is obviously going to be super effective because of the Fairy typing and should pretty much one-shot the Azumarill from this range as it does there, which is fantastic. And then, yeah, they come back with their Alolan Marowak, which tells me that they probably have whatever they have in the back is also weak to Swampert. So I'm just going to go for the Hydro Cannon as soon as possible, take out the Alolan Marowak, and let's see what they have in the back. They have a Galarian Stunfisk in the back, and this is pretty much GG's here. So Swampert pretty much going to town here. It got rid of an almost full health Azumarill, got rid of a Marowak, and pretty much going to take care of the Stunfisk as well. Doesn't quite KO, so I'm going to switch in my Galarian Stunfisk to catch the charge move. This is probably just going to be a Rock Slide, which is too soon to be Earthquake. We catch double resisted Rock Slide on the G-Fisk, and it's pretty much GG's at this point there. So, I mean, understandable why they went for Rock Slide, because Rock Slide would have done enough resisted damage to take out the Swampert from that range. But even if my Swampert had gone down, G-Fisk would have been able to clean up there. So 3-1 in the set right now. Let's move into the final battle here. So as you can see, I mean, as long as you don't run into something like Tropius, this team can pretty much run through a lot of different team comps there. So we have Swampert into an Electrode. Electric types have absolutely no play against this entire team, right? Swampert single resists electric type moves, Galarian Stunfisk double resists it, whereas Torterra triple resists it, right? Because of the grass ground typing. So I'm just going to go for the Hydro Cannon here and does so much neutral damage there. Surprisingly, they let that go through, which is okay. And I'm going to shield this up because I don't want to get hit by a foul play, but it ends up being a discharge. Could have let that go through, to be honest. But I'm going to be able to Mud Shot farm it down here, which is great. And let's see what they come in with. They actually come in with their Kangaskhan. Now this is fine. Kangaskhan is not necessarily a counter to Swampert, and also they're running Mud Slap, so it's going to take them a while to get to their charge moves. And I'm going to be able to spam these Hydro Cannons here, right? So I'm going to try and build up another Hydro Cannon here. And yeah, I'm just going to go for this one right now. Let's see how much this does to the Kangaskhan, or should probably get the second shield here. But they do let that go through. It does massive neutral damage there. And they're basically going to have to throw right now, right? Absolutely fine. I'm going to let this go through. Can't give up both shields right now. And I'm just going to come in with my Torterra and try and farm it down, right? Because we're resisting those Mud Slaps because of the grass typing. And I'm going to try and completely razorly farm it down. Let's see what they have in the back. They have an Umbreon in the back, and this is GG. So we still have a full health G-Fisk in the back. And also the thing about Torterra is that if you can sort of towards endgame, especially when they can't switch out, you're going to be able to constantly lower their defense. And yeah, they can't even clear the debuffs, right? Obviously, their defense has been lowered right now. So obviously, Razor Leaf is going to do so much more damage. I'm going to let the first foul play go through. Don't really have to shield anything at this point because we still have a full health G-Fisk in the back. But yeah, I'm just going to try and build up to another Sand Tomb here. And because we're very close to a Sand Tomb, I'm just going to shield this because I want to get it off and get their final shield. Honestly, I mean, either way works. I could just come in with my G-Fisk and take care of it. But I'm just going to go for the Sand Tomb here. This is almost for sure going to get the shield from the Umbreon. And then I'm immediately going to switch in my Galarian Stunfisk and get off this Rock Slide here. So it's pretty much GG's at this point. Nothing Umbreon has is going to come close to even one-shotting a Galarian Stunfisk. And this Rock Slide is going to do enough neutral damage to take out the Umbreon from this range there. So as you can see, I mean, very comfortable wins. I mean, we had 4 out of 5 matches that we won in that set, which was, all of those wins were pretty convincing, right? And like I said, this team, if you can line it up correctly, it can work really, really well. But obviously, when you run into some grass types, it can be a lot more closer. When you run into Tropius, it's almost impossible there. So anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.